There you guys go. Look at that Oneida. And this was back at 80. Dropped it right down in the thump station. That was a thorax thump.
Listen to how quiet this guy is. Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you the Oneida bows that me and Tom are going to be using this year to hunt with. I know I've talked about them in a couple videos, and so I just want to show you guys what we're talking about. If you guys aren't familiar with Oneida, it's a compound bow, but it's kind of a different setup. It's got limbs like a recurve, so you have a single string attaching limb to limb, just like a recurve, which makes it easy to, basically you're shooting a string the same style as a recurve. For example, this string I made, it's a Flemish twist string. I think I'm also going to make an endless loop for it. But I did the same thing I do with my recurves, and that is I wrapped the ends of the string in wool, and I made some wool string silencers here. Now this model of Oneida is the Phoenix, and it comes with some pretty aggressive silencing on the bow itself already, but you can see the cam system is down here. I'll draw it back real quick and show you. You can just kind of watch that top limb there. It's really quiet. I'm trying to think of some other things to tell you about it. Well, I'll tell you the reason that me and Tom are shooting it is because he's shot compound with fingers and no sights forever. Many years, as long as I can remember. And so back in the day, in high school, and then in our 20s, me and Tom and a couple other buddies, we all shot longbows and recurves. That's what we hunted with. We were pretty good with them. I went to compound with sights, then I went back to traditional bows, and I kind of went back and forth. I never did get into the compound with no sights thing. I tried it and it just didn't feel right to me. Well, Tom got one of these Oneida Phoenix bows, and we actually shot some of their different models at the ATA show a few years back, and I kind of fell in love. I knew I wanted one at some point, or I thought I did. I'm able to pull it back and shoot it, and it feels very similar to shooting the recurve for me. But it's got a little let off when you come back, and you can change that on these things a whole lot. So last year, just to be honest, I'm still having some back issues. I've got like 2 blown discs. They're called like a herniated, and then one's actually torn. It's pretty bad, but that, along with I had some shoulder issues last year with this shoulder right here, to where it kind of hurt to lift the bow, and then mainly when I would release the recurve, that jerk a little bit would really hurt my arm. And so I shot during that time. It was like December, January. I had actually switched to the crossbow because of that. And then after the season, and again maybe February, I shot Tom's Oneida Phoenix, and it didn't hurt my shoulder at all. So that's the long story why I got one of these. But now I think my shoulder's better. So, but I'm just gonna stick with it. That way I think it'll be really fun for me and Tom to both shoot these bows this year. And again, I'm shooting at no sights. Me and Tom shoot a little differently. You've got the different cables on the modules. You have the option to swap out these little plastic modules in here, and you can even, me and Tom have even messed with like grinding and customizing them to our own. But whatever that curve is going to determine, actually it'll mess with your jaw length a little bit, and it's going to change the stack up. So like a compound bow, you can feel the cam roll over and kind of, well, you can make this feel like it's starting to roll over right at the beginning, and then as you get to the back, it never rolls over, and it's just like a steady pull, and it may not even, you know, you can adjust it down with that module to like, you know, 50-60% let off if you want. That still stings your fingers, so I've got this probably closer to 70 or 80% let off because it doesn't sting my fingers, and it's so cozy. I can come back and I don't get target panic like I do or struggle with on my recurves and longbows. I come back, I just hold real steady, and I'm able to focus, and I'm able to shoot instinctively, both eyes open, just staring at the target, 0 to 20 yards, and I've gotten really good with this. Tom shoots gap, and what that means is he's closing one eye, and he's looking down the arrow, and he's using that arrow point kind of like a sight pin, and then all he's got to do is remember and figure out his elevation. He's extremely accurate like that. I mean, he's shooting 50 yards is nothing for him with this, which is crazy for me to think about because I can't do that. I've tried shooting gap with this, and it just doesn't feel as good to me. I just like the instinctive way, and not because I think it's better. That works better for me. Tom, it works better. He's able to do that gapping way of shooting, and it works better for him.
All right, guys, we're stretching her back out to 80. I'm gonna zoom you in. Let me knock this arrow up here. I'm gonna put you up a little bit. Watch the arrow drop in. There you guys go. Look at that Oneida. There were no cuts in that. There was the 70 yard one to the left in the shoulder, and this was back at 80. Dropped it right down in the thump station. That was a thorax thump. You're gonna see more of that coming with this year. And look at that.
I'm gonna shoot a few arrows, but first I'll show you my arrow setup. And as you can see, I've got a mix match quiver full of arrows, but they're the same brand, and that's because since I got this bow in, I don't know, February or March time frame, I have been tinkering with different arrows, different point weights, different insert weights, different fletchings, different lengths. I'm moving the rest all around. The best setup that me and Tom have both found to get the bear shaft to fly good out of one of these bows, if you're interested in it, is this little stupid looking flipper rest. I'll put the actual name of it or some links or something, but I'm talking about a $15 flipper rest. Cool thing is I can put 3 of them in my pack and always have them with me, but I'm telling you, I tried drop-aways, I tried other rests with this. I tried Springer, other different rests, and the bear shaft did not want to fly good out of them. It likes this little flipper style rest with a little pressure cushion button on it, and it liked it. This is buried like all the way in to the riser. That's just, the bear shaft shoots good. So let me get into it. So the arrows that I'm shooting are made by Carbon Express, and it's called the Pile Driver. These things are heavy. I'm going to put the grains per inch on the screen below right here because I don't remember, but I want to say it's somewhere around 12 grains per inch. Very heavy arrow. Then I've got two insert weights screwed in behind the insert, and they're made by Gold Tip, but they fit these arrows real tight inside. So how that works is you take the knock off and you screw them in from the back side, and you can take them out, put them in, whatever. So I've got 100 grains of insert weight. I've got a 125 grain, I think, point. I've been going back and forth from 100 and 125. But so you're talking about basically so 100, so 225 grains up front. Yeah, and then I'm gonna shoot lighted nocks. The nocturnals is the ones that I have a bunch of, so we'll be using those. I haven't decided on the fletching type yet, but I think I'm gonna end up with these parabolic style, like 5-inch fletchings, feathers, and that's because of the way this rest is. These seem to not get torn up as much shooting. I really like the way these big 5.5-inch shield cut feathers look, and that's what I always shoot out of a traditional bow.
Daddy, I just shot.
Okay. And that's what I always shoot out of a trad bow, but it seems to tear them up a little more and maybe not fly quite as smooth coming out of this arrow rest. So, yeah, so that's it. I have a total arrow weight of 650 grains, which is by far the most heaviest arrow I've ever shot. So it's going to be fun this year to see how those work out. And like I said, I'm not shooting much past 20 yards. Very rare. I don't think I'm going to be confident enough to shoot past 20 yards anyway. Maybe I will as I get practicing. So the negative of shooting a heavy arrow is there's going to be quite a bit of drop. As soon as even past 15 yards, these things are already starting to drop off. But the benefit is, and to be honest, with an arrow this heavy, if I'm on the ground and there's a deer quartering towards me, I won't hesitate to shoot it through the shoulder with this heavy setup like that. And coming out of a compound. With my traditional bow, the recurve, for the last several years I've shot over 500 grains. So I think around 550 grain arrows. And I get pass-throughs on does with that. So I can't imagine bumping up the weight to 650 and having more feet per second coming out of a compound bow. I'm going to shoot... I'm not sure the broadhead I'm going to shoot yet. You guys will have to wait for that. I've got several different brands I still need to test out and really see if I can come up with the money. I'd love to shoot like a 2-blade single bevel broadhead. I'll probably end up with a pack of those and some of those in my quiver. I'm probably going to have some 3-blade WacEm broadheads in my quiver, and I'm probably going to have some Muzzy One or Muzzy Trocar broadheads in my quiver as well. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I've got a 8 arrow quiver here. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. You know, how you tune these things, how you take the strings off, things like that. Also check out Tom's YouTube channel. It's called Yay Earth Health and Hunt, I think it's called. I'll put that link below as well. He's got almost a series on some of the tinkering he's done with his Oneida Phoenix, and I do have a double knock, and I'm using crown serving because that slip. It's just like a real slick serving that slips off your fingers real nice. So, so this is a Phoenix short, and I think I would, if I'm doing it over again, I think I would get a Phoenix long. That's going to give me a little more draw length, and it's also going to just be more forgiving the longer the bow is. But I got a good deal on this Phoenix short, so I snatched it up. The draw length on this is 24.5 to 27.5, and that's another reason why I think I'd rather have the long. So that means I have it maxed out at 27.5, and that's almost a hair too short for me. But it just barely fits me comfortable maxed out there. And it's a 50 to 70 pound bow. Limbs, the limbs on it are 50 to 70. I'm gonna guess I'm around 63 pounds or something like that. So there's a lot of videos out there on these bows. Another good resource is a guy named Dustin. That's actually who I bought this bow off of. He's got a YouTube channel where he talks all about, like, way more in depth on the technical setting up and shooting these bows. than I will probably ever get into. So I'll put a link to Dustin's channel as well. So yeah, wish us luck. Me and Tom are going to be hunting with these bows this year and trying to kill some deer. And like I said, for me, it's cool. It's kind of, you know, very similar to shooting my recurve bow. And I may switch back to the recurve someday, but we're going to give this a try this year and see how I like it. Tom seems to really love it. So I'm going to shoot a couple zoomed out so you can see what the bow looks and sounds like. It's a very, very quiet bow, especially with these big logs for arrows. I'm just shooting at like 12 yards or something like that. And shooting at the Glendale buck. Had that thing for 2 or 3 years. Even the same core in it, and I've flipped it all around. This is the best side that's left. That thing, if I was a better shot, the body wouldn't be tore up and I could still just be swapping out cores. So smoked it. I go through the same mental or shooting thought process as I did with my recurve, and that's a 3-step process. You guys look up Joel Turner, Iron Mind. Anyhow, my thing is I don't do any weird, you know, other things. I just keep it pretty straightforward. Focus, draw, release. Those are my keywords, the triggers. When I say focus, I'm burning a hole with my eyes where I want to hit. That's process number 1. Got to do that. And my bow is kind of up there, but it's not in the picture yet, and it's not on target or whatever. Then step 2 is I'm drawing, the draw cycle, and that's all I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking about drawing, you know, anchoring. Still burning a hole through the target with my eyes, but I'm focusing on, you know, if at any time after I'm completed with the draw process, at any time if I were to release, I'm very confident that I'd just hammer it in there. Now, once that's complete, I move on to the 3rd shot process, and that's release or shoot. Again, some people have different trigger words they replay in their mind, but it's very important to have physical words that you say every time you shoot, because that triggers the physical memory and movements, and it makes you go through a process, which is very important. Anyway, like I said, I probably didn't explain it right. Go watch that guy's videos, Iron Mind, Joel Turner. And so the last one, when I think release, that's my trigger that it's okay to relax my fingers and, you know, let her go home. So on my recurve, I used to have that taped to the limb. Focus your all, release.
Paxton, I'm going to catch a meatball from the sky. Paxton, you want this? Emma, I'm going to catch a meatball from the sky.